Any day you make it through is a victory in my book. You are straight out of one of those film noir novels. Working undercover and thwarting the bad guys. Just walking around the key makes my skin crawl. How'd you pull it off? Thank God you were running point. You must have ice in your veins or something. I mean, don't get me wrong, helping SysDef was never on my bucket list. Commander Akande, he really wasn't as much of a tight ass as I was expecting. And ultimately, he had your back, so I guess here's to SysDef. Who would have thought that, right? I just wanted to say, when we first teamed up, I had a good feeling about you. But this... you really helped people. Helped everyone. I can't wait for our next adventure. When the time's right, I'd appreciate a chat. Where to begin? That temple? The hell was that? I've been from one end of the settle systems to the other more times than I could count. But I've never, and I mean never, encountered something like that. Who built it? Why? So many questions. That's a good word for it. And what you can do? I am not a scientist, not in the least. But that ability, power, it's just plain scientifically impossible. Then who is capable of something like that? Forget about me, how are you? I mean, whatever happened, it could have deep physiological effects. I hope not mental. And even if everything's perfect, still, I can't imagine what's going through your head. You... same old you. The other Constellation members are gonna lose their minds once they hear about this. Assuming they even believe us. Hey, good to see you. Cora will be thrilled.
Such a shame. I'm afraid we have had all the best adventures already, Sam.
No adventure? Well, we'll find some hijinks then. Maybe a shenanigan or two. I hope Cora doesn't get too much underfoot. Talking about me is my favorite subject. A kid. Guess we're done.
Hello, Captain. So, you gotta fill me in on what happened at the temple. What happened? What did you see? I've seen a lot, but I'm just one person. There are more worlds out there than I could ever physically visit. Then what happened? I heard you did some stuff and then you changed. Okay, good. I like the positivity here. Keep that up. You encountered advanced technology that altered your biology in a way that results in... in what? Superpowers? I don't know. It changed you in some way that we don't fully understand. I like the unknown when it comes to exploring, not when it comes to my body. But yeah, I mean, it is really neat. I just hope it stays neat and nothing, you know, not neat. Anyway, thanks for filling me in on the temple and your power. I wonder if we can find any more traces of whoever built them. It just opens up a world of questions. It's so exciting. Dusty. Dusty. Let's talk. I can't imagine how hard it was to be under all that pressure. A leader knows that protecting regular folk is not just a responsibility, but a privilege. And I'm proud to call you my captain.
You know, thing. You know, the thing. The one with the prongs. Is that what they are? The bit that sort of sticks out with the... You know... No. But I have good intentions. That should be enough, right?
You're worried that you should have sided with a bunch of lying, murderous thieves? Hey, it's okay to second-guess yourself sometimes, but this isn't the time. You did right by us all. Modest, too. They're gonna make a statue out of you, or carve your face on a moon or something. What you did took nerves. Befriending Delgado like that, it was a huge risk. If he had gotten to you, convinced you to side with them, I don't know what we'd be dealing with right now. Do I think less of you for doing what you had to do to save countless lives in the settled systems? Let me think. Not even slightly. You're a damn hero for what you did. You better not ever think otherwise. Good. He deserved what he got for what he did and for what he would have done. And if they regroup after all this, they'll be weaker next time. All thanks to you. That's a worry for another day, boss. That's the hope and the dream. But if they do, we'll deal with it. Simple as that.
Barrett, the book I left for you in your room is about the commonality of spiritual beliefs. Did you have a chance to read it?
I must have missed it. But it's okay, Mateo. I'm reasonably aware of these philosophies.
I love how similar themes about the goodness of humanity shine through in so many of these texts.
Yet so much differs between the philosophies. Surely that is also significant.
The differences in thought are situational based on the history of the people whose lives it enhances.
If the methodology leads to alternative conclusions, perhaps the premise itself is flawed.
I understand why you say that, but I think it's my own fault for not explaining better.
Mateo, I love you, my friend, but we'll have to continue this another time. I have something for you.
Cora likes throwing stones into the pond. Or she did. God, that was ages ago.
Know the truth.
If it isn't my favorite part-time security officer. Crime has slowed down since you started helping out, which is good for morale. I like the initiative, Captain, but I've got no work for you at the moment. But check back in later. You never know when something new will crop up. Good timing. We just got word of a disturbance over by the Nut in the Embassy District. A vandal, it seems. I've already dispatched an officer to the site, but they probably could use some support. Talk to the officer, get an update, and interview any witnesses involved. Thank you. Normally I wouldn't waste your time with this, Captain, but a functionary over at MAST reported the crime. He'll be thrilled to know that a captain of the Vanguard is on the case. Never. This isn't neon. I'm sure the graffiti there is part of the normal decor, but when something like that happens here, it tends to stick out. That would be Officer Markkanen. She's one of the recruits that joined up shortly after you started. A lot of newer officers look up to you. I bet she'll get a kick out of working this case with you. Functionary Gershon. Nice guy. Very polite, as diplomats tend to be. But lately, he's also taken an interest in reporting petty crime, which means I get a call every time someone puts the wrong trash in the recycle bin. Still, his diligence comes in handy in times like this. He practically called in the crime before it even happened. See you later.
I'm surprised I have yet to see the inside of the security office. Here's hoping the streak continues. You know, the way you handle things, not bad. Not bad.
And you're certain that's what you saw?
Oh yeah, he was wearing a flannel shirt underneath a trucker jacket.
That doesn't match the description from the functionary. And you said he was running away from the tram?
That's right. Oh, and he was carrying a book, A Tale of Two Cities.
Okay, just hold that thought one moment, sir. I need to speak with the captain.
Sure. There's a reward for this, right? Information leading to the capture?
Sir, just give me a moment with the captain, please. Thanks for taking this case, Captain. I realize your time is limited. Thanks, Captain. To be honest, I'm a little starstruck. But I'll do my best to keep things professional. This was supposed to be a simple case. We got an attempted vandalism, a knocked-over bin, and a witness who called in to ID the suspect. We were about to head down to the well to apprehend the guy when this new witness comes forward with additional info. Just one problem. His story conflicts with the functionaries. Yes, sir. I was the one who took the call and reported it to Sergeant Yumi. Normally, we don't give this much weight to tipsters, but when it's a masked official, we tend to take them at their word. Yeah, and then apparently ran off and knocked over a recycling bin. The perp made a bigger mess running away than he did with the spray paint. He said it was some kid from the well. According to him, the vandal ran to the tram, knocked over the bin, and took the net to the spaceport. He also said he recognized the kid's face. ID'd him from security records and everything. Kid's name was, Tahir something. Sorry, Captain, I'm still new to this. I have it written down somewhere. Well, we got two witnesses with conflicting stories. So I'd like to go interview Functionary Gershon in person. Their office is at MAST, in the Interstellar Affairs Department. Affirmative. And as the higher-ranking officer, I'll let you take the lead, Captain.
Hello. Ah, Captain. Can I just say, it's a pleasure to meet the hero who stopped the Terramorph invasion. And Officer Markkanen, was it? I see you're here as well. Is there something the matter?
We just need to go over your testimony again.
I apologize, but I can't right now. I have an important meeting I need to attend. But I'd be happy to stop by UC Security later and speak with your sergeant. Captain, I will be happy to do so later, but now is a bad time. So unless you're arresting me, I must decline. Besides, I'm not the most eloquent of functionaries. I prefer the written word, which you're more than welcome to read. I encourage the both of you to check the information on my personal computer. I have written a detailed description of the vandal, Wantahir Vala, a known criminal who resides in the well. It should have everything you need to apprehend the thief. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Addy?
Well, Captain, what do you think? Is what the functionary said true? Is this kid from the well our vandal? You sure, Captain? I get we got conflicting testimonies, but the witness at the tram wasn't exactly reliable. If not the kid, then who? What? Really? Do you have proof? If the terminal doesn't have what you need, try checking around his desk. Maybe even go through his trash. Why? Do you not have enough proof as is? Okay, Captain. I trust your instincts above all. And if the functionary's the perp, that means he not only committed the crime, but tried to frame the kid. If I can speak frankly, Captain, that really pisses me off. The functionary said he was going to chat with Sergeant Yumi, right? Let's head back to UC Security and see if we can't give him what he deserves. It's an honor to work with you, Captain.
Have you tried the chamomile?
Captain, there you are. I just finished giving a sworn statement to Sergeant Yumi.
Ah, if it isn't my favorite part-time security officer. Ah, Captain. Functionary Gershon was just giving me his full statement.
It's mostly repeating the documentation on my computer. I trust that was sufficient enough to make an arrest? Me? Don't be ridiculous, Captain. I witnessed the crime.
Functionary Gershon, you're under arrest for vandalizing the tram and an attempted frame-up. Depending on what you told the sergeant, we can probably add false testimony to the list.
Hold on. First off, these are very serious accusations, Captain. Are you sure you want to go down this road? More importantly, do you have any proof? Interesting. Not exactly the uniform of a functionary, is it? Well, you were right about the Terramorphs. Thankfully, the stakes are lower here. Now, that is pretty damning. Old Earth books are very hard to come by. The odds of this witness naming that exact book and the functionary owning said book, that's a long shot. Unless, of course, he's the perp. Well, I've heard all I needed to hear. Functionary, do you have anything to say for yourself?
If you think I'm going to let you bring up these trumped-up charges...
That's enough. Officer Markkanen, please escort the functionary to the holding area.
You'll be hearing from my lawyer, Captain. You can't do this! Your proof is circumstantial at best!
Don't worry, functionary. We're not putting you in jail quite yet. Unlike some people, we respect the rule of law.
You'll be hearing from my lawyer, Sergeant! Expect to be demoted to desk duty by week's end!
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Now that was a shock. Next time, give me some warning before telling me my star witness is the one who committed the crime. Between you and the Terramorphs, it's never a dull day around here, Captain. Anyway, good work on this case. Functionary Gershon may talk tough, but I know his type. It won't take long for him to crack. And hopefully, that means the end of his obsession with the well. And, speaking of endings, I was going to mention this earlier, but I didn't want things to turn all sentimental in the middle of your investigation. With all the new recruits as of late, our staffing problems are no longer an issue. Which means we've exhausted our need for a part-time security officer. Likewise, Captain. We have your position filled, but not your shoes. On behalf of the entire UC Security Department, I wish you the best of luck with the Vanguard and your future missions. And if you ever need to talk or reminisce about the beat, I'll be here.
That tree's as big as the rock.
New Atlantis Security has reported yet another Aurora overdose case. The psychotropic produced in the city of Neon and widely available there is illegal contraband in the United Colonies. We're asked to remind listeners that those in possession of Aurora are subject to fines and/or imprisonment and is a clear threat to public safety. The heart of the settled systems, SSNN.
Oh, I was hoping we might run into one another again. Your timing is most fortuitous. I'm on the verge of something, but I don't quite have all the information I need. You have no idea how much I appreciate that, truly. Of course, now that I understand more about what's going on, it seems plain as day, and yet I never would have imagined it before. The tertiary trunks have also liquefied their interiors, but they're not vibrating. I thought perhaps it was some sort of defect, but it's much simpler. They're listening. I don't, not for sure. It's all a theory, certainly, but it is completely supported by the data and observation, like all good science. It's the best we have to go on right now. It means it is ready to reproduce. I believe this tree is sending vibrations out over massive distances and expecting to detect sympathetic vibrations in return. As of yet, there's been no response. I suspect that will not change, that a response is impossible, and that's very, very bad news. We're continuing to see an increase in the strength and frequency of the vibrations. I don't know how much more significant it'll become. If there's no response, the tree may vibrate itself, and some nearby portion of the city, to destruction. Now, as of yet, there has been no response, And clearly, none of the nearby individuals are a correct match. While it can't be ruled out that the intended recipient of these messages was cut down during the city's expansion, there is one other possibility. Over 100 years ago, the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective emerged from the Narian War. As a gesture of peace and goodwill, a near-literal olive branch, one of the trees from New Atlantis, was offered to the leaders of Akila City. Certainly wouldn't have been my first suggestion. Something about the common roots of humanity or some such. Politicians and their metaphors. Of course you can't just uproot a native species and plunk it down on some other planet in a totally different environment and expect it to grow. Clearly no exobotanists were consulted ahead of time. The end result was wholly predictable. The tree died within a few short years. Clever, but no, not necessarily. The tree died, yes, but branches were kept. At least one still exists in the museum there in the city. If I had that branch, I could get DNA samples and then using various data I've gathered, I could attempt to simulate a response. We could then broadcast that response and hopefully calm down our friend here. But as I say, I need that branch. I knew you would understand. The museum in Akila City is under the supervision of one Miss Casler, I'm told. I don't know anything about her, but hopefully she'll be willing to listen to reason and assist our cause. All right, off you go. We don't have any time to waste.
I wonder why Solomon named this place Akila. You'd think I know the answer to that, but I don't.
Welcome to Akila City, I guess.
Akila City. Feels like I spent half my life trying to get out of this place.
Asher are sometimes spotted by the farms. That's why we only use robots outside the walls.
That's the Rock. Ranger Central.
The United
Not a
Colonies
bad
was
part,
forced
too.
to close another crime ring investigation against the Trade Authority. Though it is widely speculated that the Trade Authority is involved in a wide variety of smuggling and theft, it has been very difficult to prove. The latest investigation hinged upon the depositions of 3 key eyewitnesses. But all 3 have recanted their testimony, leaving the investigation
I
in
was
shambles.
thinking about getting some work
The
done
Settled
at
Systems
enhanced.
News
You
Network.
want in?
News
I
you
think
can
they
trust.
do group discounts.
So you want to come here for a half day? Full day?
A half day. I talked with Miss Casler and she'll give a full guided tour.
I mean, no offense, but isn't it a bit small? And there's not as many attractions as I'd like.
Miss Casler built this whole thing off donations and what she could throw together. It's not like Akila's swimming in museums here.
Fine. But I want your class to write an essay about what they learned.
I was planning on that, ma'am.
The museum is quaint. I mean, it's clear a lot of love was put into it.
Oh, are you a friend of Sam Coe? I do so hope you both appreciate the museum. It's about his family, after all. Everything you see here is a piece of Akila City's history. Akila City was founded over 150 years ago by Solomon Coe, a scientist and explorer from Earth. Along with other settlers, Coe built the structures you see in the part of the city we call the core. those proud buildings still stand today. The planet was dangerous, so they built a wall around their settlement. Eventually, they ran out of space and started building outside the wall. There were so many buildings that they had to build another, larger wall, forming a second outer ring around the growing city. Of course, the city didn't stop growing, and before long, the third wall, the outer wall you see today, was constructed. Today, Akila City is the proud capital of the Freestar Collective, and the Council of Governors continues to meet here when they need to. Most people know Solomon Coe as the founder of Akila City and the father of the Freestar Collective. He was an astrophysicist who lived on Earth in a place called Wyoming. Solomon was born around the time people first started living in space. Later in life, he designed starships, and when Earth was in peril, those ships helped to save humanity by taking them to new homes in the stars. Absolutely. During the Great Exodus, Solomon came to this world. He named our star Cheyenne, which was also a place on Earth, and gave Akila its name too. He and some others built the settlement that would go on to become Akila City, and his descendants still live here today. Very well. People are proud of their history here, so we get more visitors than I was expecting. So it gets pretty busy here, especially with school field trips. That is not something I expected to hear today. I assume you're somehow associated with the United Colonies? I've received some odd messages of late. Several that bordered on being incomprehensible. Honestly, I thought it was some kind of strange prank until now. A bunch of gibberish about dire consequences and frequency modulation and genetic reconstruction. It all came across as rather unhinged.
Hey, I get it, but we have to collectively let go of this feud with the UC. And besides, this is really just about a tree and someone who is really, really attached to it.
Are you defending the UC? I must say, I expected more from a Coe. Well, I'm afraid you've wasted your time because I'm not authorized nor particularly inclined to release any of our pieces. That includes 100-year-old tree branches. Sorry, but it's staying in storage.
I could really bend your ear when you got a moment.
Welcome to the Coe Heritage Museum. I offer a brief tour, and I'm happy to discuss the city's history as well. I hear what you're saying, but I'm afraid it's out of the question. Handing over that branch is starting to look pretty good. I guess it couldn't hurt. I hear you. I can't believe I'm doing this. Please return it in one piece. That branch is the museum's property. Bring it back safe and sound. There are some things I would kill to have. I mean, wait, not literally. But I would pay a lot for. You see, the Coe family lost a treasure trove of old historic documents ages ago. And those documents would be priceless to have here.
Huh. Those old things.
Well, all of them were owned by our city's founder, Solomon Coe. He's more than that, really. He's one of the greatest heroes of the settled systems. These documents would be, like I said, priceless to the museum and to our guests. Their absence pains me. Jacob Coe and I have talked at length, and his great-grandfather was a troubled man. He sold off various historic documents to cover debts. They could be anywhere.
Troubled is a charitable way of putting it. Great-grandpa was a walking disaster. He almost lost everything, family estate included. Those documents she's talking about, they're real. We even have a few that survived.
Your father donated what was left to the museum.
Jacob did what? I didn't think charity was in his vocabulary.
If you find any of that trove of documents, I will pay dearly for it. It probably is, but I have to try. Think of the future generations that could benefit from seeing such important history. Let me see. Oh dear Lord. It's real. It still exists. This is the original charter for Akila City. And you can see their signatures. This is really the birth of the Freestar Collective. The core philosophy of limited government and inalienable rights. All here. Thank you. If you find anything else, please come back. If you ever want to learn more history, please visit.
So how much of a thrill has it been traveling with the one and only last descendant of the great Solomon Coe? Is it everything you imagined? Ain't you ever heard of sarcasm, friend? Okay, so how's it traveling with one of the great Coes? That better? Well, that's a first. I gotta say, it's a relief being with you. So many people hear Coe and they expect me to pull some miracle out of a hat. Time has a way of just building on itself. Solomon was a good man. Great one, even. But if he ever heard all the bullshit being talked about him these days, he'd flat out deck him. There's books about him, lots of them. Alright, a couple of high notes. He was one of the first grav jump explorers, back when they had no idea of the dangers. First solo jump out of Sol System, all him. He explored all the planets in Cheyenne and settled Akila. Plus he formed the whole Freestar Collective with Voli. So, as you can see, the names got some serious heft. I am. And I'm not. Yeah, there was a time, well before Korra, where it really weighed on me. Felt like every little thing I did or didn't do was a reflection on our great legacy. It's enough to drive you crazy. Now I just hope I can help Korra to... I don't know. Your kind words are appreciated. For my father, Korra, and me, everything starts and ends with Solomon Coe. He looked out at the stars, and he dreamed a way to get there. Imagine being the first person to jump into a new system, set foot on a new world. Well, I get it. That's powerful stuff. And now... I'm just getting sappy. You're a bad influence, you know that? Oh, now you're gonna make me blush. Well, I hope the comic book they make about our adventures is better than that rag on Solomon. The stuff they publish is just downright embarrassing.
I can't believe I gave you that branch. Just bring it back in one piece.
Would you look at that? This place is something else.
heart of Akila City, Galbank was robbed by the Shaw unit. Local security and the Freestar Rangers surrounded the bank and thus began a long, tense standoff. The Rangers sent in a silver-tongued negotiator who managed to get the gang members to surrender peacefully. Miraculously, there were no civilian casualties. An eyewitness expressed concern. If the Rangers can't protect their own bank, who can they protect? Who can they protect? Indeed.
I hope Akila City has what we need. Have you paid a visit to Miss Casler in Akila City? Yes, of course. I'll see that it is returned to her in one piece. Well, perhaps minus a few shavings. Now, I just need a moment to analyze this and synthesize an audio response to our friend here. Right, so we'll feed in a sample. Now the program will incorporate the genetic and chemical makeup of the sample, extrapolating the size and structure of the original tree. This was put together rather hastily, so complete accuracy is impossible, but I'm hoping it's enough. And there it is. Our best hope for a positive solution to this mess. So, we now have a simulated response to our tree. All that's left is to play it. An excellent question. I have been wondering myself. I've been forced to listen to this SSNN kiosk chatter incessantly this entire time. I think it could be put to better use. We don't have time to go through the proper channels, but if you can find a terminal and get this uploaded into their system, it might do the trick. Then I fear all this hard work will be for naught. I would hate to see this tree come down, but we may be out of options. I have no doubt that you will.
Talk and get paid. I spread the news. It's a classic.
SSNN is supposed to be impartial, but I think the UC's got a finger on the scale there. Or a whole hand.
You have another story for me? Well, you've already helped me with that. I've gotten some good scoops off of you, and I won't forget it anytime soon. What's the story this time? Okay. I think you're going to have to give me a little more information, because right now this sounds like the sort of thing that could get me fired, and possibly land me in jail for treason and/or terrorism. Well, now this just sounds like a practical joke. But you've been a reliable source so far. All right, I'll do it. But if I lose my job over this, I promise you, I will come after you. Back to the grind.
For the widows and orphans of Crimson Fleet and Spacer Violence. Last year, a private concert by classical violinist Alyssa DeMille sold for a staggering 70,000 credits. Mr. Singh said in an interview, although we can't expect a repeat of what happened with DeMille, we do ask that everyone open their hearts and their wallets for this worthy cause.
Done it! I'm already seeing reductions in the strength of the vibrations. The tree is calming down. I can hardly believe that worked. I don't know. We've been in uncharted territory this whole time. That doesn't stop now. With the immediate crisis hopefully over, I can slow down and review everything we've learned. And certainly, I'll be keeping a much closer eye on our friend going forward. And you have saved this tree and advanced our scientific knowledge of our environment. Noble work across the board. You have my gratitude and that of every citizen in New Atlantis, though they don't know it.
Security and members of the UC Vanguard worked in tight coordination to end the terrormorph threat and save the city. One modest hero said they just focused on protecting the civilians and staying alive. And although the attack is over, many of us still have nightmares of that fateful day. Even after their bravery, our hero is still on the job. They said, "I won't rest until the terrormorph threat is ended."
Captain, hello. I am satisfied to see that you survived your most recent.
You've got my attention, Captain.
If I can help you with anything, just say the word. I received a message from my mother a few days ago. She's returned from another one of her sightseeing cruises. Yeah, you know, one of those luxury liner journeys that shows off binary stars, gas nebulas, asteroid fields. Pretty photogenic stuff. Apparently, it's my mother's new favorite pastime. Why would you be... Oh, I see. We never talked about this, did we? The truth is that my mother lives in a fairly remote location, so we rarely speak to one another. Good. When I say that to most people, they look at me like I'm crazy. I don't think they realize how much control parents can exert on your life, especially when their dreams conflict with your own.
Poor choice of words. You being nice to the crew, too?
Oh, I'm certain they felt they were doing the right thing. You see, both of my parents were diplomats working under the flag of the UC Administrative Division. After I completed my basic education, they signed me up for a one-year apprenticeship in their department, without bothering to ask. Look, I was 18 years old, fresh out of school, and I idolized my parents. I trusted them. I'm certain they felt they were doing what was best for their daughter. Who was I to argue? It's the governmental arm of the United Colonies. You know, the politicians, the diplomats, the ambassadors. Imagine having to spend most of your career hovering behind a desk. Oh, I can't even fathom anything more boring. Wanted isn't the right word. Demanded would be more appropriate. For my apprenticeship, I was sent to Sidonia. My job consisted of drafting political policies and arbitrating trade disputes. The silver lining of the job was that it allowed me to spend time exploring every square inch of Mars. You have to understand, this was my first time I was alone on another world. Now, don't get me wrong, Jemison is an amazing place, but for me, it was the old neighborhood. Mars was like a new frontier. Oh, I spent every waking moment I could exploring the planet. I was swallowed by it. Months before the apprenticeship ended, I dumped my diplomatic certification and joined the UC Navy. Of course, my parents didn't approve. We had a huge argument that resulted in all ties being severed between us. Yes, I was proud of myself. For a while. You see, my father was killed during the opening shots of the Colony War. I returned to Jemison for the funeral and reunited with my mother. After that, we vowed to stay in touch. After the Freestar Collective started farming Vesta, and the UC pushed back, my father was one of the many diplomats sent in to arbitrate. After the talks broke down, war broke out on Vesta, and all of the UC diplomats were evacuated from Freestar space. Unfortunately, my father's transport was caught in the crossfire. It's fine. I'm fine. I promise. No matter how difficult my life's been, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that you're here with me right now. Listen, I'm going to be completely upfront with you. All this talk of family, it makes me wonder where our own relationship stands. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I regret the family life I left behind when I took off for the stars. If there was ever a chance for something like that between us, I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity. I love you too much to allow that to happen. That's why I asked about our future and where we stand. You mean that? You'd do that? For me? I've been dreaming about this moment and still, I don't know what to say. Yes, yes, of course, yes. I just need a little time to think about the ceremony. I have some thoughts about how we should move forward. You know, I used to dream about finding the love of my life, and here you are. All I ever needed was you, right here beside me. There's something I need to talk to you about. Now that we have a moment, I wanted to ask how you're feeling. After your experience at the temple, you've given everyone at the lodge quite a scare. Why am I concerned? Let's think for a moment. Ah, yes. It isn't exactly an everyday occurrence to stumble across a mysterious temple and absorb some type of strange alien energy from within. That's distressing, but to be expected, I suppose. According to what I've heard, your body absorbed an almost unquantifiable amount of energy of a type we can't even begin to understand. We're dealing with something unknown to modern science. Who knows how this encounter has affected your body or your mind? Although I don't know the exact nature of the energy you absorbed, I'm fairly certain it means you no harm. I don't have any scientific data to back that up, so you'll just have to trust my intuition. Don't worry, you'll be fine. I know you're simply trying to brush this off with humor, but you really should act more concerned. That temple proves we're dealing with entities of unknown origin. The problem is that we can't even begin to guess what their intention was towards us and where they've gone. It's a possibility I've considered, but I'm not 100% convinced. The only thing we can be certain of is that the technology we've encountered points to beings that live outside the settled systems. Perhaps. It's just that... Oh, I'm afraid that we're flying almost completely blind here. All we know for certain at this point is that whoever created the artifacts are the same beings that built the temple. Anything else is just guesswork. I might as well put on a blindfold and toss darts at theories written on the wall. As far as Constellation's concerned, you're the first human we're aware of that's ever encountered one of these places. Now, whether you consider that lucky or not, that's another matter entirely. Oh, believe me, this is positively exhilarating. Think about the significance of this research. The questions it raises alone are mind-boggling. Who was this wondrous structure built to accommodate? How long ago did these entities inhabit our universe? Are they still out there, somewhere? Indeed, a mystery that well, hopefully both of us, are determined to solve. It's funny. I used to think the artifacts were the end-all be-all of scientific discovery, the pinnacle mystery of our time. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine it would lead to something of this magnitude. I just hope that you'll come through this, whatever it is, unharmed. Well, yes, of course you are. I was speaking of the power you've acquired. This is all scientifically speaking, of course. Look, I've already taken up too much of your time. All I can do is promise that I'm not going to make you deal with this mystery alone. Whatever might be happening, I'll be right here to help you every step of the way. We should have a talk, when you have the time, of course. Sorry to pull you aside like this, but I wanted to take a moment to congratulate you. Taking those steps to eradicate the Terramorph threat is essential to the safety of every living thing in the settled systems. You should be proud. Yes, exactly. I'm glad you treated the situation with the urgency it deserved. Well, I'm relieved that the United Colonies agreed to use their genetically engineered microbe to exterminate the Terramorphs. Apparently, their decision was based on your recommendation. That was a smart choice you've made. A solid scientific decision. That's a wise decision. Besides, if Chief Engineer Kulkarni believes that the microbe will be effective, then we have to trust her experience. Good. I wouldn't want you to think it was some kind of mistake. Your decision, coupled with the eradication of the Lazarus plant, has made the settled systems a safer place to live for years to come. Oh yes, without pause. It was another inspired decision. A rock-solid, scorched earth policy to ensure the end to those horrible creatures. Oh, well, of course. I'm happy to be there for you. If there's anything else you ever feel like discussing, you let me know. When you have a moment, I'd like to speak to you. Thanks for giving me a moment of your time. I promise this won't take long. I thought you deserved to know how proud I am that you chose to side with the United Colonies and put an end to the Crimson Fleet. You've almost single-handedly saved the settled systems from one of its most dangerous enemies. I can't possibly commend you highly enough. Did I mislead you into believing that somewhere along the way? Though I ended my service with the United Colonies years ago, I continue to remain vigilant as to what's going on within its borders. Anything that has a positive effect on the UC sends an equally positive effect through Constellation. Well, I'm not sure I deserve that, but I appreciate it all the same. What I want to know is what motivated you into making the right decision. You had Crix's legacy in hand, and you could have easily taken it to the Key. Instead, you flew it to the Vigilance. Yes, that would have been unfortunate. The Crimson Fleet would have had enough wealth to fund their operation for decades. So, no regrets betraying Delgado then? I imagine you and he formed quite a partnership right up until the end. Agreed. With Delgado safely tucked away in a UC prison, things will certainly be quieter in the spaceways for a while. I suppose my final concern is how long this newfound peace will last. I wish I could share your optimism. My largest concern are the reports that Navarmora was never captured or killed. My hope is that she was smart and went into permanent exile. I suppose only time will tell. Ah. Well, it appears I've soured the mood of our lovely conversation. I trust my mindless prattle hasn't been too much of a bother. Thanks for taking the time to listen.